I was invited to the 304 Detour this year by Appalachian ADV. Kane wanted me to help out with his intermediate off-road training because he felt that the 304 Detour and me would be a good fit. He told me that the guys from Fairmont Dual Sport Riders were pretty hardcore, and I would say that is a good way to talk about them. They are definitely hardcore. For Kane and I, we started the day before the 304 Detour at the Wolfhaven Tree Farm for the intermediate off-road training. After registration, we took a few minutes and made sure that everyone's tire pressures were correct and their bikes were working properly and all their controls were in the right spot. We start off with a quick sighting lap of the property. Here you get a good view of Wolfhaven Tree Farm. While it's first and foremost a tree farm, they also have this Airbnb yurt on the property, which is pretty cool. It's very private back here, tucked right up against the woods. There's a pond. It's a very, very nice piece of property. We camped here all weekend, and it was very nice. Some of the things that we worked on in the intermediate off-road training: how to deal with cross ruts, how to cross logs, stopping on steep hill climbs, how to recover the bike on hill climbs, braking downhill, things like that maybe don't seem like much when you're on a gravel road, but whenever you get out in the woods on the trails, these skills become very important. And we did it in a safe environment where everybody could kind of mess up and have lots of runoff. They're not on the side of a hill trying to cross a log in the mud. You can see the riders here practicing crossing the logs. I'd say the intermediate course is for riders that maybe have ridden gravel roads, done some light off-roading, but want to start venturing into the trails more. That's what this course is good for. I know that can be really intimidating for a lot of people. One of the things we talked about with the log crossing was loading the suspension and blipping the throttle and the timing of all that. You can see everybody going for their first attempt here. So after the control part of the intermediate training, it was pretty late in the day at this point, and we decided just to set up camp. So we pulled our trucks back here by the lake and set up. There's my adventure trailer. Here's a good look at the property from the other direction. The following morning, there was an early riders meeting at 7 a.m. The main part of the 304 Detour was held at Brunner Ridge Park. It was about 15 minutes from where we were staying, so we buzzed up there real quick to register, get our stickers, and listen to the riders meeting. So as we set off, we were told the first stop on this route was called Mark's Molehill, and it's supposedly the most challenging spot of the whole 304 Detour. While talking to some of the other riders, they said don't even bother going up the hill. It was just super muddy and a traffic jam. So I just decided to hop in this creek section here so I could have a little bit of fun, chasing the group down. I was sweeping our group, so I needed to make sure I stayed with him and wasn't making him wait for me while I was slid off the side of a hill somewhere up in the woods for an hour. So after we left Mark's Molehill, the route took us right through downtown Fairmont and across the bridge. There was explicit directions to not wheelie across the bridge in Fairmont. It was extremely tempting, but as far as I know, nobody did it. Shortly on the other side of Fairmont, we hit our first serious off-road trail section as a group. Started off just water holes and low-hanging trees, and quickly got worse on the steep, rutty, muddy uphill. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. It was just peanut butter mud, greasy, and you were just sliding into the ruts and just kind of maintaining your way up there. So as we turned off the initial part of the trail, it became very apparent that it was going to be a super, super muddy uphill. This rider here is one of the ones in our intermediate group, and this is the first time he's ever experienced something this greasy or, you know, this aggressive of the trail. He was doing pretty good. I wanted him to keep that tire spinning a little bit more here. He ended up stopping on a steeper part, and wasn't really putting weight on the seat and was having trouble, so I instructed him to sit his butt down and get the wheel spinning a little bit more. And here he ended up sliding into the rut and laying the bike down. A lot of this trail, you're really just kind of along for the ride, bouncing in and out of the ruts. On this part, he asked me to ride the bike the rest of the way up the hill, so I hopped on the DR, and I was down in this rut, just decided to ride it out, and the foot pegs kept hitting. Kept getting stuck, just slipping the clutch, getting it moving as best I could, and as soon as I get up here, I heard the revs go up, and I figured the rear wheel was lifted off the ground, and it just didn't sound right to me, so I took a look, and the clutch was the whole way out, and the rear tire just wasn't spinning at all. So I took a look at the adjuster here, and it was way too tight, even too tight for me to adjust by hand. So I decided to hop back on the Husky and ride up the hill so I could find a multi-tool or a set of pliers. Here's another one of our group here, making his way up. I ran into Kane from Appalachian ADV walking his way down. He did not have a multi-tool, so then I continued up. Ended up that Trevor here, one of the group organizers and also the co-host of Tall Boys and Trackmasters, had a multi-tool. So he headed back down the hill to help out, adjusting the clutch. Which they did get the bike going and made it up the hill. Here we have BJ from DC Dirt Camp, climbing our way up this steep little rocky part of the hill climb. You can't really see it up there, but there is a very rocky spot right at the top, and it was just covered in the slick mud. So after heading up myself, I decided to walk back down just to kind of see who else in the group was going to need help getting up this hill. Definitely a challenging spot.
Yeah, I got it. This is yours? You good? Hanging in there? Yep. I just needed a breather.
Once everybody got up this steep hill climb part, I continued on to look for the DRZ with the bad clutch, and I couldn't actually find him. Rode my way back to this spot up here, and he was up here already. So we got him up the hill and then decided to bail on the rest of this trail section and head out.
Stay down left rut.
You can see here an example of just how sticky and slimy this mud is. I mean, his rear tire is completely caked. This is a steep downhill. He's just dragging the clutch with the bike off here.
Yeah.
Took a little break, got some drinks at the gas station, and continued on to the next spot. Here we came across what was called a hero section. They were marked by green arrows, and they were supposed to be the most challenging sections. I decided to give this one a go, and it was just a rocky, rooty, steep uphill. Kind of seemed to go on forever. And right here at the top, there was a steep rock climb right at the end. As soon as I hit it, the front tire was up in the air, and the bike flamed out for whatever reason. So had to get a restart here and work my way up the hill slowly, but ended up making it. Wish I could have did more of these hero sections, but I was sweeping the group, so I kind of had to stay with them. They had set up a little game that, if you look here, there's a Superman sign under the green arrow, and that marks the end of the hero section. So if you make it to the end, you take a selfie with the Superman sign and then turn them in. You had whoever had the most hero sections at the end of the rally had a chance to win a prize. After meeting back up with the rest of the group, we continued on through this trail section, and I was getting pretty close to lunchtime, and the plan was to, once we exited here, head back to the base camp, get some lunch, and take a little break. After lunch, the sun came out, and it got hot, real hot. But it was a nice break from the cloudy, rainy weather, and everyone was hoping that the trails were going to dry up a little bit. Pretty soon after leaving base camp, we came across this wide, deep creek crossing, and due to all the rain, it was just muddy and much higher than it probably normally is. I don't think it was very challenging. The only hard part was you couldn't see the bottom. And I picked what I thought was a good line and ended up hitting a rock that kicked me a little bit. This happens when you're crossing creeks sometimes. So after I got across, I walked out and kind of scouted a clear line for some people.
Yeah, right through here.
Found this spot right here, and as you can see, Kane just walks right through it. No big rocks, no ugly hits. Dustin here almost takes me out. Here's Tim coming through with no issue. Very nice. Next up is BJ. She ended up finding herself a big rock that completely turned her off course.
You're good. Just turn it out.
Over here you can see how deep the water is up to her axles, and she decided instead of dropping the bike in the water, just hop off and walk the bike out. Probably a good decision. No shame in that. It's better than everybody having to stand the bike up and dry out the air filter for an hour. And the final rider here, making his way off. Tell you what, these riders are making me miss my 300 XC. Stuck on the 4 strokes for now.
I should have.
Here we came across the Booby Bouncer 2.0. I have no doubt that the Booby Bouncer 1.0 was absolutely totaled in an alcohol-fueled wreck. That's the way side-by-sides die. Thanks for letting us pass. Coming through this creek bottom here, there's lots of these sections that were just rocky, lots of water. If you look off to the left, you can see the creek over there. This spot was super fun. It was sandy and just really pretty. Tell you what, if you live in this area of West Virginia, you have the best riding areas in the world. So one of the things about the 304 Detour is that the trail sections are on private property, and the property owners open up access to their land for this event. And that's one of the things that makes it so special. Is you get to ride places that really no one else gets to ride all year except for the property owner and their friends. So if you have an opportunity to come down to Fairmont, West Virginia, and attend the 304 Detour, and you like a little bit of the more hardcore riding, I think this is the place for you. They do require that you have a street legal dual sport, but I think most people these days have a plated bike of some sort. But worth checking out. Great people, good fun, and on this year there was a ton of mud. So there you can see that slippery downhill. It was one of those ones where you just kind of lock up the rear end and manage the front brake and slam the bike into the turn at the bottom. And there was this S that was just so steep and muddy. You can see
Jump to the other side.
BJ dropping in here.
Get your foot
She ran out of leg length on that one.
This is gnarly, so you're good. You got it?
Got it?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Good.
So as we came down a little deeper into this valley on the single track section, these trails were great. They were slick and rocky. Just, you know, what dreams are made of. Pretty fresh trails. Most of it hasn't been ridden that much, so it wasn't rutted or anything like that. It was just good fun. There was this downhill that a few people decided to go around. Very steep hill climb, and it had probably a good 2-foot drop off in the middle. Right here at this tree. Doesn't look like anything on camera, but it was a legit drop off. And then some of the local boys we ran into. And it was slick down here too. I think it was just like a lot of roots and rocks. For this event, I decided to run an M5B IRC on the rear. And that tire is just so good in the mud and so good in the soft, but I guess it's just not that good in the rocks. I was really struggling on this one with that rear end, fighting for traction and slipping around constantly. You know, around my area it works great all the time. I guess not down here. Definitely can't blame this wreck on the tires. That was just me being bad at riding grass tracks. And good thing there wasn't a bunch of people there watching me. I realized I stuffed the throttle into the ground and filled it with dirt, so I had to come up to the house where a bunch of people were standing watching me wreck, and this guy had a knife. He dug it out real quick, fixed it up.
No, I just went down right there. The easy part.
Talking about a place to live here. How great would that be? Maybe sucking at grass tracks again. Oh well. This is one of those spots I was really feeling the rear end just sliding around and searching for traction constantly. Still one of the best tires I've ever run. They just dig in dirt and mud, but I guess not in this. If you have any experience with the M5B and rocky, wet, mossy terrain, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. In the past, I've run the FE501S Dakota, and that is a great tire in these conditions. Continuing on, the little dog there. Make sure you wave at the dogs, and then head down this gravel road. One of the great things about West Virginia is their gravel roads seem to be a little bit more or maybe I should say a little less maintained than your average gravel road. Another rider working his way through. Tired of us slow poking around. I think that was the only rider we ran into all day after lunchtime. Here's a little war memorial in somebody's yard. A bunch of mannequins with rifles. Pretty funny. And then stopped for some gas, some drinks. It was getting super hot at this point. And headed back to the route. Hammering on the road like that is probably one of the reasons why my tire isn't working too well in the rocks. Maybe. Another one of these rocky creek bottoms. I'll say it again, I just can't get enough of these rocky creek bottoms. They're so much fun to me. Here we are working our way towards another one of the single track sections. I believe it was called Bear Ridge. Big rocks everywhere, super tight, flowy single track. And unlike the last single track section, there wasn't a lot of rocks. It was just pristine dirt, and it was super great. It's not every day you get to ride trails this good. At this point, it was getting pretty late in the day. This Bear Ridge section was a little bit longer than I think we were expecting. Everyone was just getting super worn out. It was hot, and some people were running out of water. But we ended up making it out all right. We decided to cut out from the route and head back to where we knew there was a road. I think it ended up being a wise decision. I'll push myself in further and further and further, and then get stuck without realizing it. But whenever you're with a group, you kind of gotta make the smart decision and make sure everybody is not dying. The single track ended up routing through this creek bed for quite a while, where you zigzag back and forth and up and down the banks of the creek for quite a while. It was a super fun section. Really pretty down here. After this, you ended up climbing back up onto the ridge, and there was these boulder fields where you were actually riding through and past these massive rocks. And the dirt up here, just the stuff dreams are made of.
Just stop right up there.
So this part, you kind of side hilled and zigzagged your way back up to the ridge for quite a while through this thick mountain laurel and past these rocks. This spot took quite a while. We had a couple tip overs and gave people some breaks, and then once we made it through there, everyone was definitely done. We decided just let's head out, and we continued up this two track for about a mile and popped back out on the road. You know, at this point, it was 6 p.m. Everybody was hungry. I think everybody felt a sigh of relief when we got back to the road. We headed back to the camp. Got ourselves some dinner, showered up, and shut it down for the night. After dinner, I ended up riding Dustin's KLX back to camp. He wanted to try out the 501, and my ass hurt and his bike was more comfortable, so I was okay with that. So yeah, if you get a chance to head out to the 304 Detour, I highly recommend it. Tons of fun, great people. Also, check out Appalachian ADV and Wolfhaven Tree Farm. I will have links to both in the description. Thanks everybody for watching, and see you on the next one.